Ethan Blake wasn't supposed to be a father at all, at least not again. Not after the life he had already lived, the losses he had buried inside his heart, and the storms he had already survived. But fate had a way of throwing broken things at him. Maybe because it knew Ethan never let anything stay broken for long. He woke up every day at 4:30 a.m. in his tiny rental house on the edge of town, brewed cheap coffee, tied his worn work boots, and left before the sun had fully risen, just to make it to his maintenance job at Riverside Elementary on time. It wasn't glamorous. It didn't pay much. It certainly didn't match the engineering degree he once dreamed of earning. But it was steady, honest, and close enough to the life he had left behind that it didn't hurt too much to breathe. That morning, like every morning, he walked through the quiet hallways with his mop and bucket, nodding at the early staff who barely looked at him except to toss a "good morning" Ethan over their shoulders. He didn't mind. He didn't need attention. He didn't want sympathy. He wanted life simple. But that was the thing about life, it didn't stay simple. As he rounded the corner near the back exit, he heard soft whispering. Kid whispering. Nervous whispering. Ethan stopped, lowered the mop, and stepped toward the sound. Behind the vending machines, sitting side by side with their tiny hands, clasped like they feared anyone might tear them apart, were the twins he had seen around school but had never spoken to. They were maybe 8 or 9, thin, pale, hair messy like no one ever brushed it before school, clothes that didn't fit quite right. They were always together, always quiet, always avoiding adults like adults meant bad news. "Hey," Ethan said gently, crouching down. "You two all right?" The girls froze. One of them swallowed hard. The other pressed herself closer to her sister, eyes wide, terrified. "We didn't do anything," the older-looking twin blurted. "Please don't tell the principal." "I'm not here to get anyone in trouble." Ethan kept his voice soft. "Just checking if you're okay." They exchanged a glance, the kind siblings share when words fail. Finally, the younger twin whispered, "We're waiting for the bell. We didn't want to go to the classroom yet." "Why not?" They hesitated again. Then the older twin whispered, "Today is the audition." Ethan blinked. "Audition? For the school talent showcase?" The younger twin added, voice trembling. "We signed up for singing." "That's great," Ethan said with a small smile. "If you girls like singing, you should go for it." "We didn't sign up because we wanted to," the older girl said quietly. "Some kids put our names on the sheet as a joke." Ethan's stomach tightened. "They told us it would be funny to watch us try." Her voice cracked. "Everyone knows we're, she couldn't finish. The younger twin whispered it for her. Poor. Ethan swallowed. He had heard kids say that before. He had heard adults whisper it too. He had lived in a world where money decided more than it should. "You don't have to prove anything to anyone," Ethan said. "You're allowed to sing just because you want to sing, not for them." "But we're scared," the older twin said. "If we mess up, they'll laugh." "And if you don't mess up?" Ethan asked gently. They didn't answer. They looked down at their scuffed shoes and fraying socks. "Do you want me to walk with you to your classroom? Or stay until you're ready?" The girls exchanged another glance. Then surprisingly, the younger twin asked, "Can you hear us sing?" Ethan smiled softly. "I'd be honored." They stood, nervous, shaking, but they stood. The older twin cleared her throat and whispered, "We only sing together." "Then sing together," Ethan encouraged. The girls took a breath in unison. And then, like someone had opened a window to heaven, their voices rose. Pure, soft, clear, perfect harmony, the kind that only twins could create naturally, instinctively soul-deep. Their voices blended in a way that erased everything around them. The dingy hallway, the flickering fluorescent light, the vending machine humming behind them. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest, something he thought he had forgotten how to feel. Their voices weren't just good. They were extraordinary, ethereal, the kind of sound that stops time itself and forces the world to listen. When they finished, silence filled the corridor. "You two," Ethan whispered, eyes soft, "have a gift." They blushed, not used to praise. "You really think so?" the younger asked. "I know so," Ethan answered. "Go show them who you are." For the first time since he'd seen them, the girls smiled, small, shy, but real. They gathered their little backpacks and headed to class. Halfway down the hall, they turned and waved. Ethan waved back, and for reasons he didn't yet understand. Their voices stayed with him long after they disappeared around the corner. Oh. 2 weeks later, everything fell apart. It was the storm that started it. A real storm, the kind that ripped roofs off houses and broke the stillness of night with sirens. Ethan was called to the school at midnight because the old electrical systems had gone dark. He didn't mind. He never minded helping. He just grabbed his tools and went. What he didn't expect was to see two small silhouettes, curled up under the school awning, getting soaked as the rain hammered down. It was the twins. Girls? Ethan rushed over, dropping to his knees. What are you doing here? Where's your house? They looked at him with eyes that held more fear than any child should ever know. They left, the older whispered. Your parents? The younger twin nodded. They left town. They said we'd slow them down. Ethan stared at them, disbelief freezing him. They left you? His voice cracked. Here in a storm? They locked the door, the older whispered. We couldn't get inside, so we walked to school because it's safe. Something inside Ethan broke. Not cracked, broke. He scooped them both into his arms before they could protest. You're not staying out here another second, he said firmly. You're coming with me. Are we in trouble? The younger asked. No, Ethan said fiercely. Not anymore. Oh. Child services moved slow, too slow. The twins had no relatives, no emergency contacts, no one looking for them. They had each other. That was all. And now they had Ethan. He didn't plan on becoming their guardian, but the girls clung to him like he was the only person in the world who hadn't thrown them away. And somewhere between helping them brush their tangled hair for school, staying up late to chase away nightmares, and teaching them how to fry eggs without burning the pan, Ethan realized that something had shifted inside him. He wasn't just protecting them. He was loving them, the way a father does, the way they deserved. By the time the talent showcase finally arrived, the girls were living with him full-time, though the legal papers were still pending. They had clothes that fit, shoes that didn't hurt, hair that shined, smiles that appeared more often than not. But on the morning of the showcase, they were terrified again. What if we mess up? The older twin asked as Ethan braided her hair. What if they laugh? The younger added. Ethan knelt so he was at eye level with both of them. Listen to me, he said softly. You don't sing for the kids who wrote your names as a joke. You don't sing for the teachers who didn't see you. You don't sing for the world that failed you. He placed a gentle hand on each of their shoulders. You sing for yourselves. Their little lips trembled. They nodded. And we're not alone, the younger added, almost whispering. Because we have you. Ethan swallowed hard and kissed the tops of their heads. Always. Oh. The auditorium was packed. Parents, teachers, kids, everyone filled the seats. Ethan stood in the back, arms crossed, heart pounding harder than his own children ever made it beat. The twins stood backstage, clutching each other's hands, tiny shoulders rising with every anxious breath. Their names were called. Giggles rose from the student section. Kids elbowed each other. A few whispered cruel things. Teachers shushed them half-heartedly. The girls stepped onto the stage. Small, nervous, but brave. When the music didn't start because the system glitched, they looked like they might freeze entirely. Then Ethan took one step forward. The girls saw him, and suddenly their fear loosened. The older twin squeezed her sister's hand. They opened their mouths and sang. The auditorium transformed. Every giggle died instantly. Every whisper evaporated. Every teacher froze. Every student stared. Their voices weren't just beautiful, they were haunting, mesmerizing, powerful in a way no one expected. Notes rose and blended in harmonies richer than anything the school had ever heard. Their sound filled the room like light, warm and glowing, wrapping itself around every ear, every heart. When they hit the final note, the silence afterward was so absolute it felt sacred. Then, the room exploded. Applause thundered. Teachers stood. Parents cheered. Students' jaws hung open, eyes wide, stunned by the reality that the girls they mocked, the girls they ignored, the girls they thought were a joke, were extraordinary. Ethan watched from the back, tears gathering in his eyes, not because they sang beautifully, but because they believed in themselves enough to do it. When the girls ran backstage, they barreled straight into Ethan's arms. Did you hear them clap? The younger twin squealed. You were incredible, Ethan whispered, hugging them tight. The older twin looked up at him with tear-filled eyes. We want to stay with you forever, can we? Ethan cupped her cheek and whispered, if you want me, you already have me, forever. And in that moment, for the first time in years, Ethan didn't feel alone. He felt like a father again. A real father. The father they chose. The father they deserved. And the father he was always meant to be.